So, all right, start the recording, and yes. So, guys, welcome to Helvetia Q&A. My name is FlipGalaxy. I run Helvetia, as I'm sure many of you know. We're doing this Q&A today to kind of get a general gist of what questions people have about Helvetia, but also a bit more about kind of communicating with you guys about the plans for Helvetia, but also what we're looking to do both going forward and what we've learned from about the last 4 months of development. So I'm going to work kind of just literally through the auditorium chat. Sorry, just to remind you guys, if you've got any questions or would like to put any comments, just do it in the auditorium chat. So to do that, find the VC. There'll be like a little open chat button. It'll bring you out to a little screen and you can just type there. And I'll read all the questions through there. I mean, it's not that many, so honestly, it's light reading today. But nonetheless, here we go. So Dozer Rules asks, what is Helvetia's opinion on other nations in Parabellum, e.g. Teutonia, France, Britannia? Okay, looking directly at those three nations, I'll tell you my thoughts. I mean, straight off the bat, Teutonia is just Nazi Germany. Um, as much as, I respect Leutgard and I respect, some of the reforms he's done and put in. But at the end of the day, he could have just done the Wehrmacht, with his, whatever he calls it, the Realms Army. I don't even know. Could have kept there, but he chose to do the ruler guard, and it's just blatant SS. Like you could have stopped at the army and just left it there, but no, he went a step further, and I think that's kind of a problem. Anyway, France is arguably worse because they're not even trying to hide it. If you've ever actually looked at any of their stuff, they are literally just recreating Vichy France. It's quite concerning. I've raised it a few times, but nonetheless, Britannia, pretty good. I haven't actually spent much time looking at Britannia, so I don't know whether or not they are, Mosley's lot or whatever. But generally speaking, I think they're probably okay. Um, in terms of opinion on other nations, I think generally speaking, 90% of the nations in Parabellum are, and I don't mean to be rude here, but are the same shit we've always seen. They aren't anything new, anything better than what's come before, and they don't really bring anything new to the table. There are exceptions. So, for example, Spider's, what do you call it? Uh, Denmark, that's quite good. He has really good map development, and they've worked on their own. There's not their own weapon system, but they've got their own um, I actually know what it's called. Um, they've modified the weapon system. That was it. So there are some nations which have really put a lot of effort into their development, and it shows. It really shows. But some nations are just the same shit cracked out another time, just with a new nation, new flag, and same people. Right. Next question. Fancy. I hope that did answer the question. If you do want to know it furthermore, just put it down, and I will read it later. Fancy Matt asks, are Helvetia going to start a war with other nations to gain more land? The answer is yes. We do have war plans. The general staff and myself have been discussing it. When we first joined, we were already joking about it, but we are now getting more serious with our thoughts. We're going to kind of work with our enemies in a way to kind of schedule events. And once we're kind of more comfortable in a situation where we can kind of be like, okay, we actually know our effective numbers. Because as you can see, at times we're not too confident with numbers. So we have plans to go to war. Spoiler alert, probably with France because it's literally one of the only nations that borders us, and we're not fighting Teutonia because they're only 300 or whatever. So France is on the we've got plans to I think attack Savoy. I can't do French, but it's a small little enclave in France, and we're gonna probably take that. In terms of like greater ambitions, the answer is not really. We're not really here to play Roblox fucking color in a map sort of game. Like I don't give t-shirts. We're at the end of the day we are quote unquote Switzerland. Switzerland with Liechtenstein. Like I'm happy with that. I don't think there's really any reason to be too uh bellicose in anyway, right. Let's move to the next question. Again, if you have any, further comments, just put it below. So, dude, bro, man, sirs asks, how are tanks going? Same with planes. The truth to the answer is not much has changed since you've last seen them. Tanks specifically are still just a model. We are getting the model remade because the modeler we hired did a shit job. I don't mean to be rude to him, but the model they gave us had basically he had imported it from World War Thunder, which we don't mind. It's a good model. The problem is he hadn't optimized it particularly well, and there were basically holes in the mesh, and it looked really shit. Terms with planes, I haven't spoken to Bolivar about it. I'm not sure if you guys know Bolivar, but he does a lot of stuff in MOW. He's a dev there. Pretty important guy. And after all, making planes has always been, it's something I will talk about later, but it's not a high priority. Planes, if anything, are going to be just like another decoration in the background, less, for now at least. In future, we may consider other things. Right. Will there be Helvetian merch? There already is Helvetian merch. I mean, you're gonna have to scroll quite a far because we've had so much new development. But if you go into the development channel and scroll right, I'll post it in the main chat when I find it. But you scroll right the way up, you find the quote unquote real Helvet. I say quote unquote, it is real. It's in my room. It's literally flying above well, not my bed, but above my wall. That is I got that made, and there are actually 5 mugs. If anyone would like the images for both the Royal Standard and or the coat of arms, do let me know, and you too can get your own mugs made. My university didn't make the flag, but they did do the mugs. I had a really interesting chat with the guy who does it. He was like, "Yeah, nobody does this. Like we've had this service running for like 5 years, and you're the first person to use it in the last two." I'm just like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." Well, I just ate some of the bit on the side. Yeah, sorry. In terms of the flag, yeah, I found some company in London and they just offered to do it. I think it was like 16 quid for the flag, and it's quite big. It's like I think it's a meter wide, and it's perfect resolution. It's like really good. Anyway, so in theory, yes, you can have merch. There is merch. Right. Oh, but question: where is people? Ah, for real, for real. Um, when do I believe map will launch? That's a very good question. So it's a difficult question to answer because realistically, you had to define what you mean by launch. Do you mean quote unquote playable? Because right now I could just make the map public and you could walk around it. There'd be no tech, no jobs, no truck, no border, no so and so, no nothing. But it is quote unquote playable. You could walk around the map, which if you've seen some of the PB nations, that is pretty much their map. Um, so I think in terms of when we look at map launches, we've got to I could put the old tech with this map and it would be playable, but it wouldn't be particularly enjoyable. And I've spoken to the team about this, the development team, because at the end of the day, I want us to launch as soon as possible. But my development team are very much, we need to kind of wait, we need to get everything done. And I do tend to agree with them at the end of the day, because realistically, I'd rather have the map be fully playable rather than I release the map and it's pretty shit, to be frank and honest with you. Do, 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 do. Yeah, it'll come out on GTA. When is GTA 6 meant to come out? Like 2025, something like that? Now, in terms of the other map, like in terms of like, oh, how long after tech release will the maps come? The answer is probably a couple of days. Like it will only take because so much of the stuff we're working on is modular, it's not custom. Well, it's custom, but it's not unique to each map. So all the battle maps will have the same tech, and all the city maps will have well, the city map will have the same tech. So it won't be this. It won't be like we put the tech in, wait, release the map, wait a few weeks, add a bit more in. We'll kind of do a big launch with everything kind of fully working. So that's jobs, that's weapons, that's border stuff, that's all the UI, all all that sort of stuff. Right, let's go. Opinions on Italy. There's like multiple, isn't there? I don't know. I think it's kind of niche. It's kind of cool. I like the idea that PB managed to get all 3 Italies to like form a union. I think there's like the Roman Republic, which looks really good, but actually, I say it looks really good. They got one bit which looks superb. I think it's their like helmet. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I think they probably just ripped it from some what do you call them? Like Roman neoclassical group. But at the end of the day, it looks superb. All the others, I haven't really spoken to any of them. Right, just move. I'm the coolant. No, that's not. Teutonian here. I'm kidding. Right, someone tell me the answer. How in depth will healing be? We need to use bandages to stop bleeding and splints to fix broken bones, or will it be health bars and regen? It will likely be health bars and regen. It's not. We've all played ACS, I'm sure, and we all know it's kind of a bit. Yeah, I've never. Was it ACS the one with like bandages and splints? It's like too much work. too much work. Like I am here to shoot people. I'm not here to work out. Oh right, I'm not here to diagnose myself. I couldn't care. Okay. Um, yeah, it's gonna feel a little arcadey in that reflect, but it will be based your so the way the health bar will likely work will be reflecting on how your company's morale, sorry, your company cohesion, sorry, squad cohesion works. So if your cohesion is high, you'll regen health well. If your cohesion's low, you'll regen it slower, so and so. Okay, Brocave asks, will you plan to release ads for games once the new tech is released? Yes. I mean, I'm sure you've seen on the Helvetia group, I make all the funds public. Um, and we will be spending every little dime, and I will be spending my own money, well, Helvetia's funding money, that will go towards buying ads to pay for so and so. Um, why is it concerning the existence of Vichy or uh, I think you misunderstood what I meant there. So why is it? So I think you're asking, yeah, why is it concerning the existence of Vichy or Mosley Britain? I don't know. I mean, I think we should all be against fascism. I should hope. Hmm? Vichy France is a collaborative. Why? I don't think I need to explain why we should be anti-fascist. I hope I don't have to explain that. That is like red get into IRL politics. Okay, funny. But no, but for real, lots of people have differing views about whether or not we should allow neo-Nazi, well, no, not neo-Nazi, but like groups which portray Nazi groups into the genre. And generally, I'm against it. I think you can twist history, and why groups tend to twist history to make themselves more Nazi concerns me. Um, it is a semi-historical genre. Yes, I agree. But as I explained earlier when I talked about Ruler Guard, it comes back down to you could have stopped at one point. In the same way, if you wanted to do an authoritarian nationalist France, you could have done a Bonapartist France. The fact that whoever I think it's Lakeland who actually runs it. Lakeland chose to do Vichy France and like unapologetically be Marshal Pétain or whatever just gives me quite a bit of a You really chose to do that. Like you could have done anything else, but you chose to be the ones who collaborated with the Nazis. I don't know. It's a bit. That's my opinion on it. Anyway, right, moving on because I'm not going. It's a game, yes, but okay. So he's turning me down with questions, here, gents. I swear. It's a game, yes, but at the same time, it's a way for indoctrination, or not necessarily indoctrination, but more whitewashing of history. And it's important that, those groups, especially, the Vichy France, and if there was a Mosley's Britain, you know, those people have got to address the history. Like, Teutonia does it quite well. They are unapologetic. Um, might mute that guy. He just DM'd me. If he wants to ask me a question, he can bloody put it in the quick. Anyway, um, sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, it's not really it's more of an unapologetic sort of going back to Teutonia's, the clean Wehrmacht myth is the famous one, but there are clean France myths in some regards of kind of did the collaboratists were they just saving their own skins or were they actually anti-Semites? I wrote an interesting paper. When I say paper, I wrote an interesting review of history of French anti-Semitism the other week. It's quite interesting. Anyway, right, moving on, because I will not answer any more. I'm going to delete your mail. I'm not going to delete your message. Brocave asks, will vehicles be seen and used in the battle game? Yes, not for launch though. So vehicle tech is pretty much the second update to come. So in terms of the roadmap, I mean there is a roadmap channel, I believe now. Yeah, it is. I don't actually know if I put vehicles in there, but basically the plan for how we want development to go is that the first phase is to do with getting the UI, getting the gun system sorted. The next phase is artillery. The next stage after that is vehicles. Now, artillery and vehicles are very closely linked because at the end of the day, tank is merely just a moving piece of artillery. So they will be used and seen in games, but not at launch. Uh, Bromance asks, will there be suppression? Bullets hitting near you or going past you, limiting vision? Yes. Very pleased. Our dev has been working on this and it looks superb. I don't have any photos or videos of it right now, but it's gonna feel like most others, but you'll also have, as I've implied, and I'm sure you've seen, like the cohesion bars, and that will also be impacted, and that will affect. Right. Hans, do you want total? Du bist einen totalen Krieger. Ja. Right, okay. When does the game open? I already explained this, but oh no, I didn't actually give you a date. You're right, I didn't. So I suppose there isn't really a solid date because at the end of the day, I'm at uni. My one of my devs at college, one of them works full time, in an IRL job, and we are all busy people. So I mean, we have more devs than the three of us, but there's about a team of I think it's like a dozen of us. But generally speaking, there are three main devs, which is myself, the scripter, and the UI guy. We are all very busy people. We don't have 24/7 to dedicate to the group. I'd love to say 2 weeks' time, but as I'm sure Brocave will remind me, I said 2 weeks' time a week ago and a week before that. I honestly don't know when it will happen. We just kind of we at the end of the day, we're kind of at the whims of devs, and I can't really do much to support that because I won't get into specifics, but we pay our devs incredibly well here. That we are not skint, we are not underpaying, we are not like certain groups where we all not pay our devs well or so and so. We aren't, my funding goes, I won't give you numbers, but we have a lot of money and we are not afraid to use it. Right, okay. Will there be regular updates to the border game after release? Yes. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do in terms of those updates, but there will be more jobs. I'm sure we'll add more jobs in time. There will be, maybe we might, if certain bits of the map aren't used or aren't decorated enough, we might, get rid of an entire thing and put in a new important building. You know, what is the size of battles we should be in? Yeah, it's a good question. So we did talk about it. 64 is about the rough size. Well, I think we talked 64 or 48. The idea being that each side, so each company, sorry, each squad, I keep calling them companies, each squad will be 8 members big. So if you have 8 squads on each side, that's 64 v 64. I think that's kind of going to be like the hard, not the hard limit, but that'll be like the limit. And I think kind of more 40 v 40s are more realistic. So that's 5 squads. So that'd be, yeah. Once the group grows, will there be plans to expand into our own genre? Legally, I cannot answer that question. I'm kidding. Yeah. So we do plan on growing as many of you, I'm sure, who have been with the group for a while will know, we did originally work on a community called Liberation. Liberation is still a thing. We still have the Discord, sorry, not the Discord. We still have the group, but whether or not we are going to transition away from PB into liberation is another question altogether. We have been throwing ideas around about whether or not we will quote unquote pull a gory, and once our tech becomes so good, people will start to try and get involved, and we will start to very kind of quietly shift the genre. But that is something I'm speculating. I can't give specifics on it, but I wish I think that's as specific as I can say because I honestly don't know myself. Because we'll kind of have to play it by ear and we'll actually see whether or not our tech is. I mean, our tech will be, but it's whether or not other nations are willing to, give us their assets so we can add them into the game. Because again, sorry if I hadn't explained this, but one of the things we're looking to do is that we're not going to just do internals. We are going to have other nations come onto our maps, and we want to kind of coordinate and make them feel like they're not just. They're not just a hostile team. It'll actually be their team with their uniforms, their loadouts, their equipment, their flags, for example, even their guns, because those of you who have been tracking development for a while will know that actually we have a flexible gun system, which basically, well, is it flexible? Is the right word? I can't. Modular. That was it. Flexible modular thing, which basically means all we change is the model. The actual animations stay the same. It's a really clever system. Our devs worked ridiculously hard on it, and so with our animator, who's doing amazing work. Once I actually drink. God, you love a good. Man, it's just cider, isn't it? Yeah, it's lovely. Ah, right. Are you planning on making a whole army inspection? Absolutely. Um, I think once we start really going, we'll try and do probably one, maybe two full army events each month. And then all the other time will be some sort of inspection, ceremony, medals, announcement, so and so. The point is we are trying to give autonomy to the regiments to kind of run their own things. The same with the corps. They all have. I give them. Give them stamp of approval, I suppose. But I tell them go recruit, go do events, and I trust that they will do that. And then once maybe twice a month we'll come together. We'll do some big thing. We might do one of the things we're looking to do. So you may have seen that we've got a new well, arc de triomphe, whatever you want to call it, triumphal arch sort of thing. Um, literally. Ah, what was I saying? Fuck, what was I saying? Something about whole army's ready. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, we are going to do like we'll try and do a bit of range of events. I don't just want to form up in a courtyard and say like Helvetia is the best. God save the king. Like it's fun and all, but it gets repetitive. So I want to have like a wide range of events. And one of the ones we're looking at is kind of like the army will march through the city. They would like march. I mean, you guys haven't seen the map in its entirety yet. I mean, you've seen most of it, but you might walk down the main road, go through the arc, and then go past the royal palace, so and so. A wide range of events, so it feels more alive. Right, let's move on. The next question: Do you plan on inviting YouTubers to create video? Do you plan on inviting YouTubers to create videos on the Helvetia game? Yes. So, I mean, this is a open thing. That if any YouTuber would like to do any event with Helvetia, be that just, discussing Helvetia or, maybe perhaps coming along to an event, by all means, get in contact with myself or anyone on the team. I should say by the team, I mean anyone who is, got like the gold text. It'll be like right at the top. So, like, there's you got myself, you got Charles. Uh, for all the corps commanders, all the generals, all the directory as well. Anyway, yeah, we have got some contacts. We have spoken to a few who have shown quite a lot of interest. If any of you know not it's not really a YouTuber, but if you know Boss Oath Armor 3, he did um the video that is the like let me post the video. It'll make more sense when I show it because you'll recognize the video. If any of you are from the Napoleonic genre, you'll recognize his work. He does some really, really good stuff. Where's the popular one? Yeah, there's the 130K. He did. I'll just post it in this. I won't read it later. Jayhawk. I mean, you did not respond to my DM. I asked if you take commissions because that work looks beautiful and I want to hire you. Anyway, let's move on because I gotta. What was I saying? Da, da, da. Yeah, so I've spoken to him. He said he'd be happy to do a video for us. So we'll try and we're gonna try and get some media attention out there. For sure. Are we going to buy a coffee machine with the profits we make? No, because I don't drink coffee. I drink beer. I'm an alcoholic. No. In terms of what am I going to spend the profits on? I have been in contact with a guy in the Midlands who is so. If any of you know, the standard issue Swiss rifle is the K31 Schmidt something or other rifle. It is a beautiful rifle, and I spoke to a guy in the Midlands who said he would sell me one for I think it was $400, 400 quid. So if we make, we make the first 100K of profit, which bear in mind, profit is after we've spent 90% of the money on ads, like that little 10% share, that goes back to the team and a bit to me and so and so. So once I make my 100K, I personally might spend my money on buying myself a rifle just so that it feels like it's well, I get a bit of freaking like I don't think I could have it at uni though. I'd probably get in a lot of trouble. Right, let's move on. Wait, there's fascists. You'd be surprised. Oh, Patrick. Who is Patrick Octavia? Oh, he was the. Anyway, we'll get to that later. Sorry. Will RW2 will ever reach the player base of? I don't know. I think, to be fair, you could argue it already has, or at least because there's so many groups so spaced out, it's actually a much larger. Oh, is one of the owners of Parrot? No, I don't think he is he? No. Anyway, I'm gonna mute you so I can read that later. I don't have time. I don't get distracted otherwise. I don't really think anyone knows what of actual fascists or fascism in. I mean, I have an A level in history and I'm studying history. I think I probably am more qualified than you, but I don't know. Maybe you're a PhD student, but I think I probably am more qualified than you to talk upon the measure. Anyway, um, how will UI buff work, including general and staff buffs? That's a very good question. So again, if we just go back to the development, it's probably I mean, I wouldn't say if you looked you'd see, but basically if you do look at the thing, it does kind in the very it's kind of dark in text, but it says on the lines of um So COH is referring to cohesion. Um, broken is, it depends on the buff, and we are working on a list of them. And I will publish the list once I've fully worked out with the dev exactly. But the idea is that buffs will impact either your confidence, which is your independent. Sorry, I'm burping. The beer, the cider's not doing me well. So confidence is your individual confidence. That refers to how much sort of if you're being under fire, if you're um, within your company area, if you're in a garrison. Your cohesion is more to do with your squad. So that is more if you're broken, if you're suppressed, if you're surge. You know, so surge, by the way, is basically if you annihilate, which is basically when you completely eliminate an enemy squad, you get the surge bonus, which for like 30 seconds gives you a speed buff, basically encouraging you to take the offensive further. But the idea is you've got to be careful because if you advance too fast, you might then be farther away. In terms of general staff and officer buffs, those will be again very similar to what you imagine. It'd just be if you're within a certain area, you get this buff. I don't think officers will get a buff in the sense that they uh, in the sense that they will get like a buff for being the squad leader because I think that's because the nature of the gameplay is going to be quite fast paced. Oh, hello, Caesar. Hello, Oliver. I'm moving you both
Yeah,
up.
what's good?
Have you been here the entire time? Because my headset I don't think is on. Have they been talking? Because get off the stage.
No, 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 no. We just joined.
All right, get off the stage. I'm kidding. We love them, but it's gonna throw my audio, and I. Oh, it's my headset. Never mind. I'll deal with that later. My headset doesn't. Never mind. Anyway, got a lot. Hans is going to bring capitalism here, literally. I mean, we are, I gotta like what how many events a week are expected of Helvetian regiments, and will you plan on forming rest days like NW? Okay, let's answer the first one. How many events a week? Really depends on the regiment. I would love to say, 5 events a week, but that seems quite a lot. 7 days a week, and I think it really depends on kind of, okay, but actually, sorry, I say five is a lot, but actually, if you think you do one NA, one EU event a day, that's only, or both weekends, that's 4 events over the weekend, and that's only one a week. So actually, probably more than five. It might be, 6 or 7 events. Those events don't need to be like battles s- um, or like drills. They could be, well, they could be drills. They could be patrolling, they could be going on GRP, could be random raiding, could be literally anything. An event doesn't need to be fully there doesn't need to be a group chat where you need to discuss everything in high detail and have a plan formulated. It's not, I don't want to enforce kind of NW-esque, you must have a battle every day of the week. If you don't, your regiment will die, sort of thing. Um, Now, in terms of rest days, personally, I don't see the reason. I mean, it's not as if Monday is any more of a stressful day than Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Friday. In fact, I think the genre as a whole has taken Monday to be the day off, which I mean, if everyone agrees to it, we kind of have to. There's no way we can set the precedent, but we don't know. We'll see what regiments really want to think because people want their time off, but at the same time, if they're not doing stuff at all, having a rest day doesn't make sense because if you're, a rest day could actually be, oh yes, it's a rest day, but we're going to just sit on GRP for 3 hours or something. Right, moving on. How much roleplay are we trying to give out? Should we host more roleplay events like guarding or patrols or more battles? Okay, that links back to what I just said about Brocave's question. And again, it kind of comes back to what you've been doing a lot of. So if you've been doing a lot of battles and your men are kind of just like, well, it's the same shit over and over, spice it up. Do some patrols, do some guarding, do some GRP, do some random raiding. It's about a variety. I don't want to do a battle a day, but I'd like an event a day, maybe more than that. So I think it's more about. I wouldn't say. I think role play is the wrong word. I mean, it is role play, I suppose, but it's. I think you don't want to. You shouldn't be doing stuff for the sake of just doing it. Like if so Mimnol, you're commander of guard. I don't want you to be, guarding the castle if there's no king online, or if the king isn't on, or king, or the aristocracy is not online. because there's no point wasting your rankers, your guys' time just for a little event. You might as well go to GRP and actually recruit or do something else more productive. Right, moving on. Will military police get cuffs in a jail? Yes. I'm not sure about cuffs. I think we're going to work on a different system for it, but we'll see. We'll see. Uh, I must say, I'm really disappointed you don't want to work with me because I really want those boxes, and I mean, I recognize some of the assets, so I know it's not, and I think it's just something about it just feels so cute. I like it. Anyway, moving on. Hans has contacts. I have fuckloads of contacts. Fuck, right. Hans is an alcoholic. It's taken you this long to realize? He's English, who isn't a part of our blood. Yeah, okay. I'm Turkish vodka. Opinion on Octavian? I mean, I think it was. Have you watched their podcast? I sat down one evening. It wasn't one evening. It was one afternoon. I was sitting doing some development. I think I was not printing. I was making the uniforms, and they posted their like podcast, and it was the funniest shit I've ever listened to. It's this guy who is talking off his med, not talking off his meds. He's talking a bit like 3 leagues above where he like sure. People have prestige, but I think the important one is let me just show you something real quick. So whenever people come to me and be like, "Oh, so and so's coming back. They used to bring 80 people, and 2 years ago had 80 people, and they were, big group." Like I just like to think to them, I think, damn, okay, 80 people. That's nothing to be um snubbed at. But where's the photo I want to show you guys? Is it even on here? Oh shit, it might be on my USB sleeve. There it is. Is that it? Now, Brocave will remember this if I can find it. Flip failing to find the bloody image. I'm gonna get the image because the image is important for the story. Da, 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 da. What? I swear I'll have this somewhere. Is it cool? Okay, I cannot seem to find a photo of. Yeah, I was trying to find a photo of KGL basically, but the point I was trying to make was that I used to rally. I say when I led KGL in Rusi's BA, we rallied about 160. That was 2 years ago. And so whenever I hear about these leaders who have left the genre for a year or so and come back and people show the photos of their old rally, I just like to think, well, KGL rallied 160, Tecumseh rallied 60. What other nations? When I was in Hanover or Portugal, that rallied, I wasn't there at the time. Portugal rallied 200, Hanover rallied 150, I think, at one point. You know, I always think the idea that a single person can command such numbers is just a fallacy. A lot of it is people underneath you. You may have been the one at the top organizing it all, but at the end of the day, you are not the one who is DM recruiting or going onto GRP and recruiting all 150 people to rally. So I think it's important to not overstate kind of if an old vet is coming back, it doesn't mean anything because an old vet with old tech with old groups means bullshit. Like it means nothing. It's just worthless. If they come, bring money, bring tech, bring devs, worth something. But again, Helvetia has been in development for 6 months, and we're getting much much closer, mind you. But we are still, I quote, I like as I said, I don't know, potentially 2 weeks away. Um, but it could still be what was I trying to rant at? Whenever these things come back and they announce their return, their triumphal, the guy with the fucking podcast, I just think, great, right, your dev's going to be done in what tomorrow? Like, how long have you been actually planning this? Is this just like a shits and giggles thing? You saw PB was doing well? I don't know. This isn't directly at Octavian. I'm sure they have got. I mean, based on the development I've been shown, it looks pretty good. But yeah, to be fair, we led 35th ranked 40 at one point, but that was under Pro Cave. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. In fact, there's every 15-year-old is a drink alcoholic. Well, as a nearly 19-year-old, 4 years down the drain, I suppose. Oh, Alexander, that was the fella who did the fucking. That was the one who did the podcast. Yeah, I loved it. I put it in the leaders chat when he posted it, and I was like, "This is just jokes. It's such a oh, that has got a fucking car. Where is it? I can't be asked. It's not important. Um, I'm just gonna move on from the Octavian questions. It's not important, and I've explained my viewpoint on it anyway. Anyway, are we going to spend the profits on more? Oh, I can't read it if you close it out. No, I'm not drunk now. I've had a single cider which has 4.5%. I'm not going to be drunk from that. Are we going to spend the profits on more assets for games? Absolutely. It is, as I explained earlier, it is all about reinvesting those profits. Yes, we are here to make money, but we are also here to make the best World War II group there is, in my opinion. Pardon me. Um, all right, moving on. When is Burn planned on being released? Good question. I think I explained this earlier, Bulgarian. But generally speaking, it is, it can be released right now. It wouldn't be playable, or it would be quote unquote playable, but it wouldn't be, fully polished. And I want to wait until it's polished, until it's ready, so I don't disappoint. Because the game looks fantastic. It is beautiful right now. It is stunningly beautiful. Like you walk down the streets and you feel like you're actually in a metropolitan city. It feels beautiful. But it's not ready to be released. It's not perfection because there's no tech yet. I mean, tech is being worked on, but it's not, fully done yet. Right, moving on. Is the nation not French German? No, it's Swiss. I'll be damned if you call us Germans. Moving on. King's. I got to go bro cave. I'll be on tomorrow. Keep me in the loop. Our friends in the Napoleon run would laugh at a number as low as 100. Well, yeah. I mean, 100 is nothing to be snubbed at. I think, I don't know, I flex my mom,
Nah, that's pretty low, Flip.
oh, bloody hell, that was low. That was quiet. Loud. Fuck, what am I on about? I mean, nowadays it's low, but that's a fucking stage. Sorry. It's not about. I come from back when 2018, Napoleon John. That's when I first joined, when I was in, what, year 8 or year 9 at the time. God, that was a long time ago. And I remember my group, the group I was a part of, rallying 35, and that being like a huge achievement at the time. And I remember the first group to ever pass 100 rallied, it was an LGA. I don't remember which one it was. But, that was 2019 when they rallied 100. And by 2021, we had 3,000 players on one game at one time. And I think the Napoleon genre had had a massive jump because of COVID. And I mean, I could rant for it for hours, but the point I'm trying to get across is 100 is nothing to be snubbed at. I think it's important that, I mean, what Teutonia's last rally, they only got like 100 or so, 120 or so. Like, that's, and Teutonia is one of the biggest nations out there. And they've rallied 400 before, so I wouldn't snub 100, but we've got our aspirations. Anyway, let's move on. I've returned. I don't care. Are you going to make a profile photo? I will make. I said this to all the boosters, but if you boost the Discord, I will make you a profile photo for free. Just send me your characters, and I will do it. Moving on. It is the like 3-4 template thing. One nation. I mean, even when Brocave and I were in BA barely rallied 700. France rallied 1,000. It's not a usual rally for Napoleon. I don't know what Napoleon nations you've been about. I mean, to be fair, Ratauti's Austria at one point rallied 620, I think, or it was 320. But that was like, I've not seen much. I've only seen two groups rally beyond 500, beyond 600. So I wouldn't say it's usual. Anyway. And again, sorry, going back to the whole point about Octavian and other World War II people who come to me and DM me, I'm not pointing any fingers, who have been like, "Oh, Flip, you should cancel Helvetia because there's been a twat, there's been some guy who's come back and he used to do so and so." I don't give two shits because he doesn't, he may have rallied 300 then, or he probably didn't. He rallied 30 or something, but he may have rallied so and so then, but probably can't do it now because the people under him have left. Anyway, right, I'm moving on. Let's see. I was a general for yeah, Dexia's rush. Yeah, Dexia's spent stupid amounts of money on ads, and I don't think he even rallied 600, from my understanding. If you boost the Discord, yes, I will. Right, mugs look very nice. Thank you. They are very nice. They sit on my. I've got one on my shelf, and the other three are in. The other four are in their boxes. I actually got 5 mugs. I was actually going to send one to Charles the other month, but I hadn't got around to doing that. Right, just have a quick look through DMs so if people have sent me any questions. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that these guys you to put you at 200%. I don't even know what that means. Who is Patrick? I'm gonna find this Patrick fella. And he's an owner. No, what's his this Patrick Zendrick Patrick, I presume. Oh, he ran. Did he run the Nazi? I'm confused. Did he run? Oh yeah, he ran the fascist, the fucking yeah, Nazi America. Oh yeah, him. He also doesn't have the owner role. He has the world power, world leadership role. But okay. But anyway, right. Any more questions before we move on to some other questions I've been sent? Oh, okay. I mean, Lakeland has the world power role, and so does the leader of IGA. But yeah, it's not really an owner role. It's more, from what I've been told, and what I know, it's Lakeland owns the community. All right, you believe what you want to believe. Um, right, I'm gonna move on to the questions that I've been sent from others who couldn't be with us today. These are more to do with kind of broadly about the army and stuff. But okay, um, so a lot of people have been asking about where we're looking to go further in terms of the army, more about kind of what regiments we want to open up in the future. So the first regiment and probably the last regiment we will be opening up will be an artillery slash engineers regiment. They will be officially some sort of pioneer regiment, I think is the name we're going to go for it. They'll be probably attached. We'll probably rework in the core system when we do that. But generally speaking, the idea will be that the engineers will be tasked with artillery, but also they'll have sapper stuff, so they'll be able to build defenses. Obviously, artillery is as you'd imagined, but the reason we kind of want to say six regiments is enough is a six regiments is a lot, but oh god, what did my voice do there? Let's have another drink. Maybe I'll calm it down, I suppose. Right. Um, so what I was saying, sorry, was that once we've got six regiments, we've kind of got one of everything. We've got a mechanized, we've got a tank, we've got an infantry, we've got a guard, we've got a military police, and now an artillery. And at that point, I might have missed recon for 9-0, but at that point, we've kind of reached the limit, not the limit, but certainly any more regiments we added would just be duplicates. And there's no point in kind of creating that division when it's not necessary. And we also want to kind of not, we don't want it to be, 10 regiments which rally five. We want five regiments which rally 10, sort of thing. Student dorms are definitely property of Helvetia. I mean, I'm not oblivious. I mean, it literally explains what the role means. If you look in nation lists, where is it called? Nation list. World powers. Nations classified as world powers meet the highest standards of development, activity, and reputation. These nations have a seat on the Parabellum Leadership Council, which we now all do, and serve as the anchor nations for our communities. These nations are guaranteed. La, 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 la. It's literally world power, brackets, superpower, world nation, full membership, observer nation, limited membership. It's not about who runs the community, but sure, whatever you want to believe. Are we going to make Helvetia a real country? Yeah, for real. We're gonna storm. We're gonna do a what do you fucking call it? We're gonna storm burn. Now we'll all fly to Liechtenstein. We'll force the Prince of Liechtenstein to abdicate in favor of me or Serb, and we'll get it done. Is Helvetia going to be the next Pretoria? I'll actually have you know, Pretoria has we annexed Pretoria, so we know all of America is ours. What do you mean, legit, just rent? Yeah, you can actually. I forgot about that. Yeah, we could. If Helvetia makes a fuck ton of money. Yeah, I think you used to be able to. I'm not sure if you still can. Um, yeah, we need like $40,000, I think it is. Yeah, you can rent it. No, you have to do it for a minimum of 3 days. I think we need like 120,000. But if Helvetia makes absolute money, if we're making, tens of millions of Robux, I will, yeah, no, totally. We'll hire out Liechtenstein and we'll have like a full LARP day. 70,000, they've upped their prices. Bloody hell. Oh yeah, it was on Airbnb. I remember that. I think some people actually did it as well. I think some like rich billionaire. What is your opinion on the Texas border crisis? It should go to Arizona. I don't fucking know. I don't know my American states. Nah, actually no. I think Texas should be annexed by Puerto Rico and turned into like the 12th state. Um, I also believe Puerto Rico should secede from the Union and form the Greater Malaysian tripartite state. Yeah. Right. What are your roommates? I don't actually have roommates. I have flatmates. So we all have our own little room. Um, but my flatmates have seen my mugs and they have asked. Um, so maybe I'll have to flee one day, but until then. So someone needs to work out how much $70,000 dollars is in Robux, so I know how much I need to earn. Were you the ones to make the old Helvetia uniforms? No, I wasn't. And I literally said no to the other bit above, so I'm not going to give you them. They're Serb's uniforms, and they're not mine to give out. I believe Serb is planning on reusing them for some of his other projects, not other projects, but other commissions. So if you commission him in future, you might be using old Helvetian assets. Anyway, that is definitely not right. Oh, yeah, no. You need to use the you need to use the things like MyLeaf or something. That's what I use. Alina, I already explained this earlier about why did I quote unquote scrap the community. We haven't really scrapped it, but we are looking for a more transitional movement towards a community based with us. But we're looking at that in the future. That's fine. I should say, for all of you who have joined late, this is all recorded. I'm recording on OBS. God forbid I look at the file size at the end of this, but it will be all recorded and then uploaded to the Helvetia Discord so you guys can enjoy that. What's the tech looking like right now? Has someone asked before? No one has actually asked about what the tech looks like now, but generally speaking, I don't have anything nice to show you because we're still waiting on UI. I explained this earlier, but basically, UI dev is a full-time college student and is working, I believe. No, UI guy is full-time college student. Scripter is full-time working, and college I know is not 24/7, but this bloke, he's academically focused, and I respect that as myself. As I spoke about earlier, I'm at uni myself. Got to put our academics first. Before this, I was literally writing up a resource about the Treaty of Versailles, shits and giggles. Well, not shits and giggles for a fucking essay. Anyway, I'm ranting on. So, next question. So, I talked about regiments. The obvious follow-up question is, what branches are we looking to expand into the future? So, many of you probably, someone asked earlier about the Air Force, and that is something we do plan on adding very in the far future. I wouldn't don't get your hopes up. I am thinking quite a few months in the future. Air tech doesn't really make sense with the sort of low-level combat we're doing, but it might just be a more of a ceremonial thing. So there might be I mean, I call it the Helvetische Königliche Luftwaffe, but I think we're going to have to change their name because I doubt we're going to be allowed to have the Royal. We might have changed it to the Royal Flying Corps. That might work. It sound British. IRL Swiss had a navy. Yes, that is another bit. So we did actually look at getting a navy done, getting a model made. However, the guy we looked at hiring, he kind of just went AWOL, and we kind of, we've got uniform. We could easily turn the uniforms into navy uniforms. We would just literally turn them blue, but we looked at all the options, but actually it kind of just didn't really fit with the vibe because again with the Air Force, it comes back to how effective and useful they'd actually be, and with the style of gameplay we're going for, which is uniquely different to anything done in the World War II genre before, we're kind of not entirely sure this would be anything other than ceremonial, and thus I feel it wouldn't have much of a draw. It would have the draw of being kind of niche and kind of cool, but actually there's nothing much to that. If you're kind of, yes, you're part of the Air Force, but actually you do nothing, feels pretty shit. So we're not going to do that. Well, we are still looking at doing it, but we're going to work it out. We're going to spend a lot of time trying to work it to kind of fit into the game. Right. Yeah, so, see, that's the thing. Some custom ships take months, and others seem to just appear out of nowhere. It's very odd. Um, how is Helvetia uniquely different? How unique? Anything past that? I mean, have you looked at some of the roadmap and some of the? I mean, it's hard to explain, but if you played NW, it's basically we're bringing that over to the World War II genre. So instead of having companies, we're gonna have squads, but squads are what's Q&A? I don't fucking know your cadet terms. I ain't no fucking cadet. Can you buy a passport from Liechtenstein? Or do you have to like live there for so many years? I don't know what Q&A means, but just oh, this is the Q. Oh, I'm being stupid. I'm being absolutely stupid. You meant questions and answers. Um, oh, I'm so tired. I shouldn't be drinking. Anyway, so sorry. To refer to what I meant, it's if you've played NW, it will feel very not like that, but it will feel similar in the sense that we're actually taking a lot of inspiration from what NW. Well. We're actually taking it from a game called Verdun. If you've ever played that, it will feel very much like Verdun. However, Verdun and NW feel very much alike. We think that Gory probably took some inspiration from it, but it's a bit difficult to kind of put the pieces together. As a drunk. I'm not drunk. I've just had a bit to drink and I'm burpy. Yeah, I haven't actually played Hell Let Loose, but I think from what I've been told, yes, we're using a lot of Hell Let Loose for the UI design in terms of the style. Um, but again, if you've ever played Verdun, the game, that was my when I saw that, I was like, I've got to make that. That's the main focus. But it just happens to feel very much like NW because again, we think they've taken the same inspirations we have. Right, moving on to the next question. Did I even explain the other branch? I didn't explain the other branches. I get distracted with questions about tech. Um, Yes, the other branches we're looking at is expanding the government. So some of you may have noticed we've expanded the ministries. We're going to be reworking some of them. I'm speaking to the politicians and some people who like writing documents. But the idea is we're going to kind of shrink down the ministers, so there'll be less ministers, and they'll each have a ministry. So you still have, the Obus minister, so the prime minister, and you still have the minister of war, still have the minister of the interior. The finance minister might be changing. No, sorry. The finance minister will be changing, and the minister of the interior probably will be changing as well. But we're still working on that. Um, Justice minister is staying, and the Ministry for World Politics is staying as well. And each of these ministries will have their own sub channels and sub structures. So expect in the next couple of days or so that to. Oh, I nearly left the VC. Bloody hell. Expect that to. Oh, have I got to read your? Have I meant to have read your staff application result? I will read that later then. Yeah, get on with it. Right. Will the burn maps surpass SpongeBob Simulator in players? How many players does SpongeBob Simulator have? That's like a fucking tongue twister. It's not, but I don't know. Anyway, not a question, but I noticed a lot of old German Prussian aesthetics. Is that just how Switzerland was in the 1940s, or your unique style? Yeah. So it is. Well, depends which bits you're talking about. So in terms of the buildings, so those are built on the old Bern city. Sorry, the city of the city of Bern. That's the old city of was it? Sorry, old town. That was it. So the old town of the city of Bern. It's an architectural style which is predominantly found in the city of Bern. It's a lot of the kind of neoclass. Is it neoclassical sort of? Let me send you a photo. It'll make more sense. Once you see it, you realize just how well our buildings look because you realize they just look the same. I mean, we did just send the dev these pictures and he went to work on it, but uh, it feels if you look at that photo and compare it to what we've got in the main game, it feels like that. That is the old Bern, the old city of Bern's architectural style. Now, in terms of the houses, so not houses, fuck, I meant the uniforms, those and all the equipment, that is based purely off the Swiss Army Museum's ordnance papers. So I contacted the museum, well, the archive, and they basically sent over the old documents. And thankfully, there were pictures because I could speak a little bit of German, but not enough to translate documents. And I didn't really want to get my German flatmate to like try and do my Roblox roleplay shit. So in the meantime, so we're using the Swiss Army Ordnance papers, and those are just publicly available now. You can all see them, and yes, they feel quote unquote German, but actually, I have the evidence to back it up. I'm not doing a Teutonia where I get Nazi uniforms and change the color by 3 degrees and call it a day. Going back to the branch, I know I'm jumping a lot here, but going back to branches, one of the other things we're looking at is opening a lot more of like the civil services. So we talked earlier about the city map having jobs, and we are looking for flat. I will get to that later. We're looking at kind of building out a bit more of a social side of Helvetia. So I think some of you are involved in the legal system, but there's also the politics, but also the we're working on a what do you call it? Church. That was it. And that will be kind of it'll be again more of a ceremonial thing, more purely kind of used for coronations. But we are also looking at giving it a combat role. So famously during the First World War, there was a lot, and to the extent Second World War, there was a lot of military chaplains. So those go with the troops, kind of give them blessings. The idea is we'll have something similar. But again, a lot of these things where they give a buff, they'll be nerfed by if they get killed, they might not be armed, and if they get killed, they cost more points. Right, sorry for so many questions, but I am curious. Where did the flag inspiration, the name of Helvetia, come from? Helvetia Republic. It's literally so if you read the law document, you'd actually find out. But no, the idea is that well, I say the idea. It comes from the French sister republic formed in 1793, if I remember correctly. Um, but it's part of this sort of you have to read the law document, which you can find pinned in main chat, by the way. But so yeah, Helvetia itself, the actual word, comes from Helvetii, which is the Latin for the tribes which used to live in Switzerland. It's what Caesar used to call them, not our Caesar, but like as in Julius Gaius Caesar. Okay,
No, that was me.
yeah, it was Caesar, bro. It was Caesar. uh, right, last few questions before. I mean, we'll be doing this for just about an hour now, so we are doing good for time. So let me just get the last question I had written down from a person. Oh yeah, someone asked about new maps. So I'm sure you guys are aware, we have a city map, but we also have a wide range of battle maps, sorry, skirmish maps. We are looking at building a bigger battle map, so that will be so our skirmish map. So the one you probably all played, Battle of Rhine, is 2.5 by 2,500 studs. However, and the City of Bern map is going to be 4,000 studs big. However, we are looking at making kind of a battle map the size of the city map, so it will be about 4,000 studs, with outlying terrain as well. The idea being these will be bigger maps made for even larger events. So whilst I've spoken earlier about, we're looking at doing 40v40s. If we want to try and push it, we might try and do, maybe 80v80. So 10 squads versus 10 squads. So those maps will be kind of much larger, as detailed. These maps are going to be huge. Right. So as it has been an hour, I am going to say, does anyone have any last questions, any last remarks before I finish the recording, and we all go our separate ways? I'll just leave it a minute whilst I finish off my Magmas, which is the cider I'm drinking, by the way. Definitely not sponsored, but it is a superb cider. For your future community. Oh yeah, you missed this earlier. Oh, for other nations. Yeah. Well, no, yes and no. So it really depends on how it progresses. So I spoke earlier about this, but basically we're looking at having a gradual reform from PB into Liberation. So basically, once we're happy with how tech is looking and other nations are interested, we might say, okay, you give us your assets and we'll add you to our tech. They won't get a copy of it, obviously, because the tech is ours. But once we kind of get the ball moving, we can kind of start to wield a bit more influence, and perhaps move over to liberation in the far future. If not, if we don't have that gradual sort of thing, we will probably look to make an enemy faction to fight against. But I imagine we'll do the former of slowly transforming nations. Yeah, right. Anyway, any last questions? Because I am getting tired and I want to Oh God, three people left when I said I'm tired. God. Right. I don't think anyone else has any last questions, but oh, sorry. Oh, Pansy says, "Will you?" If he says, "Marry me," I'm gonna say no. Ooh. Will you tell? You gotta be quick, mate. I ain't got all day. Got better shit to be doing then. Will you tell us map progress? I don't know, bro. Have you looked at development? Of course. I keep you guys as up to date as I am. So the moment my dev sends a photo, I post it immediately. Now, if you want a sneak peek of kind of half-built development, boost the Discord and you get access to sneak peeks where I post kind of half finished, but like so a little bit less well-made photos, but it's like a bit earlier. So if you want to know like a half a day in advance, boost the Discord and you get access to that. But yeah, okay. Any final last questions? Because I want to wrap this up. Oh, fuck off. Right, I'll call it that. It's been lovely speaking to all of you. Thank you very much for your questions. I hope this has been as interesting as it has been informative. It's an hour long, so this will be a bloody long video. I'm gonna have to thing. But yes, remember discord.gg/Helvetia. Please come join. We'd love to see you. Uh, yeah, cool. I'm gonna end the recording now.